guys, what's up? F3 Nation, your boy Hello Kitty, got the men of the Dark Six talking conversations and culture of the F3 Nation this weekly, every other week, bi-weekly, bi-monthly. Anywho, it's every other week, and we're talking about just sort of things that are happening around the nation and chiming in. We've got 5 in sedentary locations, 1 on a car phone, dark helmet on the car phone today. First time, long time. Hey, Frank.
Hey there. Yeah, I'm had too many meetings today, and I'm trying to get home, and there was an accident, and so I didn't make it to the home office before we started recording. And rather than everyone wait on me, because no one should do that, here I am in the vehicle.
We're gonna need you to turn down your radio, sir. If you could turn down your radio, and then we'll try to get you on the air.
Hello.
With the
long time listener, first time caller.
Guys, let me do a quick head count. GMO, how you feeling, man? How's your week going?
I am great. We had a great beat down here. Starting to get cold, getting all the gear ready to go to keep our fingers and our toes warm in the St. Louis area. So doing great here.
You will love, this is the time of the year when the dread temperature, chart makes its way around the nation. And the guys in our local region were, having a little fun at his expense around something about a scarf. There's some reference to a scarf. And Slaughter and Gnarly Goat and a few guys were in town last week, and like 3 guys showed up in short sleeve shorts and scarves. just to kind of stick to the nation a little bit. You know how they do it over here. And I believe the phrase from one of the guys that travel was, those Carpex guys aren't right in the head. I'm like, yeah, that's
agreed.
So anyways, Gobbler man, you've been traveling a little bit in Texas. How you doing?
Yeah, I just got back today. I started the day in El Paso and finished it here in Seattle. So I flew my not so favorite airline, least favorite airline back, but that's okay. We're back here. Good news is I had a meeting with a couple guys down there, Norm and Great Clips. They had never met before until that night, and they're getting going on F3 El Paso. So they're gonna meet this Saturday for a workout, and I think they've already got the location put on the map. So hey, did something down there.
Nice. Yeah, man. Norm, formerly of South Wake region. Those guys both made an appearance on the Circle of Trust podcast today, because thanks to Gobbler calling in and interviewing those guys while they were having dinner. So exciting things happening down there. If I'm not mistaken, we are not but 32 AOs away from 3,000 across the nation. And Bing, my man, that's got to make you feel good.
Makes you feel real good. It's impressive to watch the growth. I mean, we get that the Slack channel with the updates of AOs being added, and I think we saw it was like a river flowing today. You guys are either updating their maps, which everyone plug. If your map is not current, please go on f3nation.com, go to locations. The instructions are right on top, guys. There's no reason not to have your map current. And let's just make sure that every AO is listed, because we'd hate for someone to either go to the wrong place or someone thinking they got nowhere to post. And so let's make sure we get that thing current. But yeah, no, all good here. I'm not allowed to talk about it being cold, because 52 degrees is not cold. And I see you, Dark Helmet. And so no, it's a good times down here in Southwest Florida.
I love it. The tallest man on the call, none other than Carmen Sandiego. And I can only imagine that if you had some sort of audible notification on all of your devices, it would be a river flowing, as Bing just described it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's pretty constant. It's crazy. It's fun to watch though. It's a lot of good growth, but yeah, I mean, I missed the last call because my daughter's football team was in the playoffs. They're still in the playoffs, or not, she cheers, but their football team. And then the little team called the Atlanta Braves won a World Series.
Heard about that one?
Georgia Bulldogs are #1. Maybe the Atlanta sports curse is finally going to pass us over. So that's all we can really hope for out here.
Should we talk about the Falcons? They won last weekend, didn't they?
Sure did. Beat the Saints. They did. Got a big one.
Yeah, they did. But
they tried hard. They tried hard to give it away.
It's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
Yep. The man in the car phone needs little introduction. The president of F3 Nation, my brother. A lot happening. How you feeling, man? How the knees?
If you're paying attention on Twitter, I'm not saying you should, but if you are, I I may or may not have done a little too much, a little too fast.
What?
Although I know, hard to believe, but although to be fair, the doctor said that it's partially just the way my body is healing, and that's just sort of the way it is because they were so damaged for so long. So I'm holding on to a lot of inflammation and a lot of swelling, and so I got fired from. I even got fired from physical therapy. I'm not. She's like, you can't do that for 3 weeks. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? And she said, the only thing I'm allowed to do is swim. And so I said, well, may as well swim. So I jumped in the pool yesterday. I'll be going again tomorrow. I can do up to 3 days a week swimming. That is the max I'm allowed, and I will always do the max I'm allowed. That's what she said. And so there we go. That's my report on the knees. They hurt, but I have all the optimism in the world that they will get better. I will be back to 100% in not a very long time.
Yeah.
In the big scheme of things. So that's where that is.
Good, my brother. Love to hear it, man. That's exciting that you've at least can find a way to stay prepared, right? Regardless of what is thrown at you.
And I will say, I mean, anybody who thinks swimming is kind of a lesser workout, I know I was on that list. Bro, I got smoked. I swam about a quarter mile, and I was like, I think I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
It was much harder. Of course, I'm a little out of shape right now too because I've been out of the gloom for a good amount of time. But still, it was a pretty hefty workout. So that part's good. And I already have plans in my mind for an open water AO to come. We've got lakes all over the place down here, so it'll probably happen before too long.
Show of hands if at the 10-year anniversary celebration you swam across an open current through the intercoastal waterway and almost ended up a little bit downstream. GMO, were you in our group for that?
I was not.
Oh, yeah, I was in that. I was in the open water current group. Stick to the pool. Stick to the pool, Darkest. Stick to the pool, my man. Well, good, man. Excited.
Between a lake and an ocean too, though, to be fair.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Guys,
big
we clearly have a lot going on. We got a lot coming across all of our purviews. Every time I look up, we got more regions going on local news. Every time we look up, we've got more regions coming online. Every time we look up, we've got more to engage with. Sector Qs have more guys to talk to. So all that comes with gratitude and thankfulness. I thought tonight we could talk about how we lean into that and how in the month of November, in a month of giving, how we can maybe focus our efforts and our attention around supporting the foundation, right? Which the F3 Nation Foundation provides so much support to what we're trying to do to grow and have a bit of a giving heart. And so we've got Give to Give campaign that's going on right now. Scratching those guys are working hard. And as you've seen, and a few of you guys have already posted those videos about, your why F3 means so much to you and why you feel called to give to it financially. I thought maybe we could just expand upon that a little bit. And I'll open it up from there. The floor is open.
Yeah, money. That's a great topic there, Hello Kitty. We all like talking about money.
I hate it. I don't know if that's any help. I mean, I like money, but I don't like talking about money. And especially when it comes to the money in the context of F3. If I'm being really transparent, and that's part of what this podcast is about, it makes me wildly uncomfortable to discuss it in any manner, because in my mind, in a perfect world, the resources that we need to do what we do would fall like manna from heaven. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. And so I recognize that it's a necessary thing, but I'd be lying if I said it made me comfortable. I mean, there's a lot of things about it, even about Give to Give, that make me a little uncomfortable, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. Now, that said, and we can discuss that, but that said, I'm in full support, and that's not just a company man telling the company line. I mean, I give, I figured it out one time, not too long ago. Just started looking at okay, legit, how much money, should we be getting paid for the amount of time that all of us give, right? And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just, or anything like that. I'm simply stating a fact, and that is, I know myself, right? Just me. I started about 3-4 months ago. No, it's probably a little longer than that, maybe actually, but still, I started color coding all of my calendars a little bit differently so that I was tracking my time a little bit better. And there's no question that I would say I split my time almost evenly between Mammon and F3. And that probably equates to roughly between 30 and 40 hours a week for each one. And it's a fairly significant commitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even still, if anybody heard, or watched the video I made, I'm not afraid of saying it though, I personally can't live with the idea of some man living like I was living. And I was living in sad Clownville, and I was miserable, and I did not feel like I had purpose. And I would, I've shared this before, and I'll share it again now, but I spent many an early evening driving home from my office and saying, I can't even bring myself to go home right now because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And I would sit in the middle of a field in my truck and just stare out at nothing. Sometimes shout at the sky, sometimes cry, sometimes whatever. And the men that were around me at the time, and the purpose that I've been able to find, and the people that were mentoring me and different things like that along the way, in F3, they pulled me out of there. And so, yeah, I donate a lot of time, sure, but I'm also going to give financially, because my time, while valuable, is not going to advance the mission in the same way that me giving some dollars will to the cause. But it's so makes me uncomfortable to talk about it.
I think we're kind of uniquely positioned in an organization like this to have an impactful 1-2 punch of treasure and time, to where both can be incredibly impactful, but it doesn't negate the fact that with the goals that we have for the men that we're trying to reach, for the resources that we want to create to go into areas. I mean, Gobs, you even saw this week traveling down to Texas, right? And seeing those guys who don't have much, but all right. So if we can put some things around them, some resources around them, then they could explode much faster than if they kind of just had to wing it by themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I was down there, like I said, I had dinner with two guys that had already done F3, right? So Norm was from South Wake. Great Clips was from F3 Monterey. Norm, by the way, is an Army chaplain, came to the Army later in life. And Great Clips is a retired officer. I don't know if he's 04 or 05, but he's retired. And so now he's living down there, and both of them are like, we need F3. But neither of them by themselves, by the way, they were like, they couldn't do it. You put them together in a room, all of a sudden they got a plan. But you start looking at that and you start figuring out who's the closest person. The closest person is Albuquerque, maybe Tucson. Both of those are single to 2-3 dudes, right? They can't feed into El Paso. So then you start looking at the closest city that has bandwidth to support, and you're looking at San Antonio or Phoenix. That's 500 miles, 600 miles. I mean, I flew to Phoenix today through Phoenix, and that was an 1.5-hour flight. So, the hard math is that if we want this to grow, we have to put resources against it. That's the bottom line. We cannot, or the other option is we just wait for someone who happens to be sent there on work. And as we saw in COVID, that worked really well during COVID, right? Like everyone just stopped traveling, and it was just like, okay, what do we do? And Zoom only goes so far. The bottom line is it costs money, or costs, period, to get proximate with another man. And that's a true statement. Like, it'll cost you to get proximate with another man in your life if he lives next to you. It'll cost you your time. It'll cost you your effort. You have to take a risk. He might not want you there. So now you put two cities apart, it's still going to cost us. The question is, are we willing to pay it? Are we willing to put it out there? Do we believe in the mission enough that we're willing to put some resources against it? And in the Army, everything is about prioritization, right? Trust me, we got more missions than we got resources. And so if the mission is a priority to us, if it's a priority in our lives, then we'll put some resources against it.
Well, that's a really good comparison. We got more missions than we have resources. I mean, 3,000 AOs, boys, and counting, are getting close to it. We've got more projects. I mean, guys are spinning up stuff all the time, Jim. I mean, they're constantly got stuff going on.
Internationally too. I mean, you think about changing the world. This is the organization that's going to do it. I believe it. I've said it before. I'm changed, kind of like uh, Helmet was describing, and I see the men change right next to me every darn morning, and it's an amazing organization to be a part of. You know, for me, been reflecting on this a lot too. There's two things for me. Is one thing, it's an offering. So this donation you make as an offering. And in my faith tradition, no matter what you have to give, you put it in the basket. It comes together with all of the other parishioners and it goes up as a sacrifice. And it's an offering of hope, what your fears are, a sacrifice that you've made. And so for me, it's a little bit of the same thing here. There's an offering that we're making for this thing to be bigger and better and impact more men. The other thing for me in this as well is just thinking a lot of times where I spend my time, it can feel like an obligation. Feel like I'm checking the box, putting time in to do this work, to volunteer this time. And with F3, the 3 years that I've been involved, it's not an obligation. It's something that I am totally on fire. The guys in my packs are totally on fire. They can't believe that this is free to attend, but then the new guys coming in just cannot believe that all these men are spending this much time pulling these workouts together, planning CSOPs, planning convergences, expanding and planning and organizing, and anything that we're doing. For me, if I'm going to volunteer my time, I want to be giving my time and around other people that are striving for excellence. And I got to say, even behind the curtains of what we're doing, I'm still blown away by all the men who are super passionate about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it is a hell of a lot of fun, and we're getting a lot of shit done too. So I just can't imagine where my money or my time would go that would have as much impact that I get to see every day.
And you know something, Brian or I'm sorry, Kitty and GMO. I don't know if by the time this sort of hits the airwaves, if it will have been released or not yet. But Bing has a video from Kenya that those guys talking about the impact that F3 has made and how they need help.
Maybe we can put that in the newsletter.
Well, yeah, we passed it along to the, to F3 Foundation to let them, share it as they are able to. But ultimately, I keep thinking about Big Hero 6 and the message that he shared with us. And, the realization is invigorating male community leadership is not just an American problem, not just a USA problem. It's a male problem. And that problem just spans across the world. And, and Big Hero 6, while he's in Nairobi, he mentioned a few other towns that he aspires to place F3. Some I have never heard of, but some I have. But the realization is this is a big need everywhere. And, he wanted to thank the foundation for what they've done to help get F3 Nairobi formalized and where it is. And, some of the extra costs that we had to incur from an international standpoint, whether it be shipping and stuff like that. So we just, we want to make sure we're taking care of them. But, I see that, I see the emails come through, and it's a lot of emails from an expansion standpoint, and seeing guys just, wanting this and have never had it before, or seeing guys like the guys in El Paso who have had it and realized they want it back. I mean, that was me 5 years ago down here on the Sun Coast, and realizing, I can't give this thing up. Yeah, I had to move for Mammon purposes, but, seeing the advantage, and same thing for you, Gobbler, seeing the launch take place in Tacoma and up in the Northwest, seeing the number of guys that are impacted. So, obviously my home region here, one of the guys that gave one of the largest contributions, he's been with us about 2 or 3 months. And it really kind of blew me away that he offered that much money. And he was one of those guys that kept walking out of the Dunkin' Donuts as we sat there, with our Q source. And I finally just jumped out of my chair one day with an EH card and said, "You keep looking at us, you need to join us." And the dude is on fire, loves it, just moved here, one of those stories. And he just said, "You know what? This is a small contribution for what F3 has done in my life. And if I could help other men get what I got in from F3, and it's that's kind of what drives me. It gives me the confidence. I mentioned it in my video I shared last week. F3 has made me stronger, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, F3 has made me a more confident man, a man that believes in what I've learned on how to be a more virtuous leader, whether it be through Q Source or, standing across the circle and realizing I could help that man beat alcoholism because I myself did it. And I could help somebody else do it. And the thought of, to Dark Helmet's point, of other men living that life and not having this resource, that's what drives me. And so for me to be able to give, to turn around and help more men in towns, because I look at the map, and man, that map is looking mighty filled in. There's only 4 or 5 states that don't have F3. But guys, it's kind of a smoke screen, because that map just covers the state. We have one AO in New Hampshire. New Hampshire's not covered. It's covered because we have something there. Iowa, I don't know if we covered it in red. I don't think we did. There's an AO across the river. It's going to happen that Iowa will get covered, but we need to find all the pockets in this world and get this thing planted. And the foundation is a phenomenal resource to help us do that. So, giving generously is easy to do. And I see a lot of men have already made that decision, just looking at the tracker today. But I also know that a lot of men are still kind of trying to decide what it is they want to give and how much and when, and just encourage them, think about what it's given to you and how you could give that to another man. That's motivating enough for me.
And like you said, I think every donation, every offering matters. It's the gesture this man is making, that he wants to be part of something bigger.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, like Dark Helmet was saying, it's, I do get a lot of notifications, but the vast majority of them are these new regions and these new AOs. And it's unreal how exciting it is to watch every day, and guys opening up new AOs and changing AOs and expanded times and weekends and everything else. And it's just the excitement of watching these new regions pop up and getting to interact with these new Nantans who are trying to get on the map, and just seeing their excitement. I mean, it should fire anybody up just to watch how much expansion, and to kind of look back in yourself and remember how you felt when all that was so new and so exciting for you, right? It's just like that new toy that you play with for the first time, and it's just the best thing ever, and you kind of set it off to the side, but then you go back and visit it every so often, you're like, this is awesome. Well, then just turn back around and just put your full time into it, because you know that you're spreading that feeling around all these guys. But on the investment part, I mean, like from my perspective, there is a level of discomfort, right? Because especially at this time of the year, there's a lot of groups and organizations that are in the similar situation. And I think some of that is developing yourself personally. Planning throughout the course of the year for these time of the year is something, and maybe a financial podcast is a good idea there, Kitty. See if
I'll call Mr. Ramsey. Yep, no problem.
Yeah. And I give a lot of money to my church. I give a lot of money to F3, and those are things I plan for. But I know that one thing that Scratch and Win and the foundation was looking at too is, don't worry about necessarily huge chunks of money. They're also looking at the recurring, and recurring is a monthly donation. It's a much smaller number. Generally, you can give whatever you want to give, but if you got the ability to recur a big number, sure, do that. But for their perspective, it helps them plan for long term, right? Yep. So if they're only getting money once a year and it's all coming in one bulk, it kind of makes it a little bit challenging. But if they've got this like recurring inflow, it helps them a lot to plan and budget and understand what they can see coming in. So, I mean, I think everybody's heard this at some point in time, but I mean, you're not paying a monthly gym fee. Maybe you think about something like that. It goes a long way to help so many guys have that same feeling that made you so excited to be able to get to do what we get to do.
I went to a workout the other day. There were 100 kettlebells. I don't know where those all came from. I used them. I used all the resources that were available in front of me. You've got all these things. Think about the amount of advice, friendship, love, mentorship you've gleaned in the time you've been here. Therapy, right? I mean, Pretty good investment. We're going to do a
Hey,
monthly gift from
Okay,
our.
let me throw a number out there to you. Let me throw a couple numbers out there. If F3 helped you avoid divorce, it probably helped you avoid a $20,000 bill. All right, I'm divorced. I'm telling you that.
Well, that was just for the attorney, Gob. That was
That's my point. That's just the attorney, right? If it helped you avoid therapy, that's $100 a session. If it kept you out of the doctor's office one time this year, right? So think about it, because you brought up 50 kettlebells. Kettlebells go $2 a pound, right? So you start putting real numbers on it. This isn't everywhere. I got it. You get in a small AO, you might not have access to all of this, but you can. You could call anybody up you go on Slack and you say, hey, I got a problem. I guarantee you're going to get a half a dozen messages within 5 minutes. So you do have access to all of those things, gym, basically, therapy, to avoid all these pitfalls. Now, whether or not you choose to take advantage of it, that's up to you. But if you look at your life and you start actually ticking through, if you've been in F3 any length of time, of what it's possibly helped you to avoid, I guarantee you it's less than what you're giving to give.
Because I don't know if you saw this on the Slack channel today, but somebody in the Nation Slack channel reached out because their child was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and was just asking for help, saying, anybody else have had this? And actually it was T1D. And of course I had no idea what that meant. So I Googled it to learn what type 1 diabetes were. So I just taught maybe somebody something, but to have that resource, guys, it's just unbelievable. And like you said, that resource to come from a man who's experienced it. You can go on Google, you could try and learn about it, but who knows what the source of information is? On a small scale, we had a PAX down here going through an ugly breakup with his fiance, and he needed a place to sleep. So rather than, crashing in a hotel or in his car, he put it on the Slack channel. And guess what? 10 guys raised their hand. It was like a race to get this guy under their hood. But at the end of the day, they weren't really that just trying to get him a place to stay. It was a place to stabilize him and figure out where his head is, figure out what's going on, and how do we either right the situation or minimize the hurt that's about ready to take place. So, those resources that are in front of us are just amazing. And by the way, how much would you pay for like a John Maxwell training? And yet we get Q-Source for free. It's you pay for the book and then you sit around and drink a lot of coffee. So yeah, maybe you're paying a little bit for that, but just, the resources are just countless. So I really appreciate that.
Yep. Man, good points, guys. What else? Anything else we're forgetting before we wrap it up? We're getting close to our allotted time here.
Well, I was going to say one more thing. I'm going to channel my church for a second here. At our church, we do an annual drive too, and the goal is like $39.95 per person, and there's a whole reason for why that is. But I mean, like if you were to think about $19.95, how frequently are you willing to go out and spend $19.95? I mean, there's a billion different things you can think of that you would spend that kind of money on. And if we took some estimate of like 30,000 packs that are out there, and every pack just gave $19.95, that would be $599,000. So, I mean, put that in perspective. I mean, if everybody could buy in a little bit, it would, it's kind of explosive what they could do.
Yeah. And it's not a guilt thing. So maybe you're sitting watching, you're like, hell yeah. Okay, cool. $20. Got it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And just think about if that gets multiplied time over time over time.
Forget the half of your stuff.
That gets a lot of troubadours travel into location to get this thing sparked. It gives a lot of money for a lot of grants to make some differences in the communities. So it's really great stuff. I'm sure there'll be a link down below, right, where this is posted on the newsletter.
Yeah.
It seems like a great idea, GMO.
But yeah, you think about that. We've talked about expansion with this money, guys. I mean, the amount of money that was given last year was amazing. I mean, we raised just over 200,000. I think I'm gonna make up some numbers here because that's what marketing guys do. But I mean, I think what we saw the Solid Foundation put out was massive. I mean, 270,000 sounds like a really good number. I mean, guys, that's going to help improve, organizations within our communities. And that's something I shared with the Suncoast PAX yesterday after my Q was, guys, I mean, if there's opportunities for us to serve, and we do a lot of serving, but if there's something really big that we can really impact this community, this is an opportunity for us to apply for a grant. And that's what this is all about. Let's find those big opportunities. We can impact Southwest Florida somehow, communities, whatever it might be. That's what this money is being raised for. So, let's not lose sight of the fact that the vast majority of the money that was raised, in the past has gone right back into the communities and great organizations.
Do it, Helmet.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to throw in there either, but look, it's funny. I don't think we got on this call tonight with the intent to make it a telethon.
Yep.
For Give to Give. I mean, honestly, and this is the absolute truth, Pax. Like we talked about this beforehand. Like, what are we going to talk about? And I said, I think it would be interesting for guys to hear like kind of our perspective on Give to Give, and how some of us, when it first popped its head up again this year, we're kind of like, really? I didn't know if we were going to do that again. I thought we even said we weren't going to do that again, and it caused maybe a little heartburn for me. And just concerned, like, oh gosh, can we call it something different? Will that be better? I don't know. And I'll be honest, again, I'm sure I'll get in trouble for telling all this, right? But the facts are the facts. I think the truth is the most important thing. And look, I don't know where you guys. Well, I know where the 6 of you guys fall. I know all of us are giving. I mean, that's that we've all said that, and we all have that intent if we haven't done it already. But I don't know where a PAX falls on something like this, and they look and they go, hey man, it's supposed to be free, and I just want to be free, and I just want to take it and work out, and just that's it, all I want to do. And you know what, that's fine. It's fine. I'm not mad at anybody for that. If that's the level of participation that you feel comfortable with, then do that. I feel so strongly that every man has to get right. And I haven't found anything yet, not that I've tried everything that there is, but I haven't found anything yet that will help me get right. Like F3 will. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist that I'm aware of. Yep. And look, if you are a guy who just says, hey, I want to take, and that's fine. I'm not mad at anybody, but you may or may not be aware, and maybe I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer or a weirdo or anything like that. But if you haven't looked around recently, like our world is not in great shape. There is a lot happening in our culture and our society that is, frankly, it's a little terrifying in some ways. I'm not a terrified person, but you get what I'm saying, right? It is hard to watch. It is hard to watch, and it's no fun to look at. And if you think, and I'm not trying to be some kind of guy, whatever, right? But if you think that the government is going to be the institution that saves you, I'm sorry, friend. It's just not true. It's not true. It doesn't have the ability, and it's not that it's a failure or it's this horrible organization full of evil people. It's just that it wasn't designed to do that. The things that were designed to do that are the things that we're going to have locally in our areas to do that. And so when I think about giving a little bit of money, I don't care if it's $5, whoever wants to, whatever you got or whatever you feel comfortable with, right? When I think about doing that, and the fact that the men that I know that are living on a coast, let's say, and a hurricane hits, and suddenly now we have resources to help their communities, right? Or wildfires out where Gobbler is, or near where Gobbler is, right? Those men and their families in those communities have been displaced, and maybe we have a little bit of money where we can say, hey, we can give to that. We can put people up in temporary housing or whatever it might be. We already know about time. We've given a ton of money now, like to rescue missions and things like that, for men to have temporary housing so that they can get back on their feet and they can become productive members of society. Like, we're not just making workouts, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. We are truly shaping the fabric and the face and the foundational elements of our country. Our job, men, yes, is to plant, grow, and serve, but it's so that we can hold the middle, so that we can be minivan centurions, so that we can bring communities along with us. And I don't know if you know, but the guy that checks into his cube, for 8 hours a day and then goes home and drools into a beer or whatever it is he does, like, no offense to that guy, but he ain't fit in any aspect of his life. He's not going to be the leader. He can't do it. It has to be us. And for us to get him and everybody else in a position where that's possible, so that when the institutions that we know fail us, because they will,
Mhm.
we've got to have something to put behind that.
Yeah.
And it can't just be me giving my time to everybody. I'd love it if I had infinite amount of time and money and I could just throw it all, if I was Bill Gates and could just write big checks or whatever, that'd be awesome. But that's not how it's been set up. And that's honestly, that's not even very helpful in some ways. The most important thing that we have is the way that it changes each individual man. And for me, that's worth any amount of time and
Yeah.
energy and effort and money that I have.
Yeah,
Amen.
I totally agree. I'll wrap with this too, because I think the secret sauce in all this lies in leveraging the resources that you men have to invest in an organization that has the most proximity to male community leadership. I'm telling you, we've all been around long enough. You've all seen organizations of all shapes and sizes. I'm very fortunate to sit in a position for what I do, not only for Mammon, but for just budding growth of my life and career, to be able to see men engage in a lot of programs and projects and conferences and leadership courses. Those all that I've seen, and there's some really great ones, don't get me wrong, there's some really powerful ones. They still miss the proximate element that this organization has presented into your life,
Yeah.
because it's a part of your daily life. If you want it to be, if you're willing to stick your hand out and take it, if you're willing to stick your hand out for another man and let him bring you over the bridge to help you, right? Because the other things are in a fleeting moment, and they're a couple days, or they're a course, and you're fired up after the conference, and you go home and you go back to yourself. Well, F3 is coming at you tomorrow morning, and the day after that, and the day after that, and it's been here, and it's not going anywhere, and we'll be there tomorrow. Right? I think that's a big difference maker, to lean into the battle. The battle happens on the daily basis. Great, we're there. We're in the fold every day. Every day. Okay, having an off day? Cool. We'll pick you up tomorrow because you're coming back, and we're going to keep moving. You know what I mean? So let's invest in that. All right, gents, we got to roll.
Even if all you could do is swim in a stupid pool.
Whatever, of your own tears.
I'll have a towel for you, Dark Helmet. Come on, buddy. Come
By
on.
the way, it's not F3. Just in case you're one. That's why he's got to do the open water swims. You got to get an open water swimmer. It's not F3. You got to get outside.
That's right. That's exactly it.
Buy a bicycle and go outside, then it's F3.
Doggy paddles. I'm going to come up with a new
Good
beat down called Doggy Paddles just for you, Darkness.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. I love you guys. Be good.
All right. Love you too.
All right,
Adios.
gentlemen. We love you guys as always. Man, we're so grateful that you pick up our six. Thanks so much for helping out with the give to give. We might not be perfect. We'll stumble and fall a little bit, but when we fall, what do? We dive, right? And we'll always do everything we can to pick up yours. We'll see you guys.